This is the Marvel Legends series, The Black Widow. And this is the Black Widow in her original classic gray costume. Pretty nice. Let's get her out of packaging. And as a bonus treat, we will also be reviewing the vintage carded Black Widow figure, since doing the Black Widow theme right here. It'd be nice to compare this one with this classic version of Black Widow. So I'm gonna open this up for you guys. And here is the Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, out of packaging. And this is, if you don't read the comic books, this is actually the first time this is what Black Widow looked like the first time we saw her in the comic books, when she was sort of a bad guy, good guy, villain, hero. She was swinging both sides here and there before she joined S.H.I.E.L.D. Then eventually she did join S.H.I.E.L.D. and this was her very first outfit when she fought with Captain America, with Wolverine, then teamed up with Captain America and Wolverine, which I'll show off in the end. But this, suffice to say, this is her classic outfit and her classic hairstyle. And it's looking absolutely terrific. In fact, she did not have that jacket when she first appeared in she graced Marvel Comics, the pages of Marvel Comics. It was just a whole jumpsuit, and I don't know. At first, I was thinking maybe Hasbro shouldn't have put that jacket on, but I kind of dig it now. It's really grown on me, and I'm kind of glad they actually did put that jacket on her, so that the figure base or the mold wouldn't be too simplistic. I really liked it. And now she comes with this jetpack, which amazingly has that S.H.I.E.L.D. Logo on it, which we'll talk about in a little bit later, together with the other accessories that Natasha came with. And wow, very cool. We'll talk about the details in a little while, but in the meantime, here is the other Black Widow figure, also in the comic book costume. This is a more modern version of the Black Widow comic book, when she already was part of the Avengers team, or some form of Avengers team, or Secret Avengers or whatnot. And this is how she looks like in the comic books. Most of the time now, after the 90s and early 2000. And this is how the Marvel Cinematic Universe Black Widow was patterned from, or taken from. And I'm digging it. Both figures look absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad I picked them up at the same time, almost at the same time, to give you guys this review. Really impressed with it. We'll talk about the similarities in the mold in a little while, but just to give you a really good appreciation of these two figures, I'm really liking them. So let's take a closer look at these two figures. Now let's start with the classic Black Widow. She came, as I mentioned, with a backpack, the S.H.I.E.L.D. jetpack. And amazingly, I guess she was already part of S.H.I.E.L.D. when they envisioned this figure. It's got that S.H.I.E.L.D. logo. Very nice. It is very difficult to put on her and remove. I don't know if there's a trick to it. I didn't have the heart to pop off the shoulders or pop this one off or anything like that, but it already had a little bit of damage right there because I tried to put it in way too much. I don't think I damaged it. I probably just unplugged it or something like that. But yeah, suffice to say, it is very difficult to put on and off the figure, which I'm probably not gonna do. And yeah, and came with two blast effects or thrusters. Very nice, cool looking. It's a great accessory, but I'm not particularly fond of that. So okay, she also has two extra hands. Very cool, displayed hands, which you've already seen before with Polaris and all the other Spider-Woman figures, including the fists. The fists are remolded. And she comes with 3 pairs of these stingers, these Black Widow stingers. So you can have her with the shoot. This is actually my favorite ones, with the shooting effects. You can have her done in the plain vanilla stingers, which incidentally are quite different from the retro modern Black Widow. The retro carded modern Black Widow, it's actually much smaller. This is actually, I don't know which one's more accurate, but I do like the bigger one better. Okay, and then she has the ones with the smoking bracelets. Maybe she just fired them and all that. And just like that, you can have her with the stingers just after blasting some Hydra soldiers or whatever. The stingers are still smoking. Very, very cool. Okay, let's talk about the actual figure mold. The head sculpt is obviously a brand new head sculpt. I really, really like it. There's this bit of hair covering her right eye, and actually that's the correct mold, because I've seen other figures on the shelf that had the hair way up here and it wasn't covering the eye. Most likely you've had a little bit of a factory defect, because that would mean that the hair had not been glued properly, and you'll probably have a bigger forehead and the hair would be slightly like 2-3 millimeters upward. So you want to get a head sculpt that has the hair covering almost entirely that right eye. That's exactly what you want, because that means that the hair sculpt has been completely glued on properly and flush. If I give you a quick look at that head sculpt, it's a gorgeous looking head sculpt. Hardly any quality issues to note on that. Just make sure that the lipstick, it's on squarely, not too thick, not too thin, just about right, just like that. Green eyes are painted nicely. She's got this spider emblem on her chest. Make sure it's all black, and that red, little bit of red Black Widow insignia is spot on in that center of the belly of the spider. She's got a loose, separate piece belt pouch, which is very cool. And then she's got this jacket, which, if you think looks quite familiar, well, you're right. It actually came from Hasbro had already used it on a previous figure, including the upper arm and sleeve of the jacket. It is from the Rogue figure. I think it's exactly the same, just molded in a different color. Very nice touch. And like I said in the beginning, I'm kind of glad they actually added that. Okay, now on to the fists, as I mentioned, have been recycled from other figures. The forearm, the midsection right here, the torso and the hips and the pelvis, the entire mold for the legs seem to be recycled from this particular figure, which is the Polaris Mystique torso and legs. And as you can see, they're very similar. And again, that's really been my gripe about this figure mold, is that every time you try and pose that leg, you get that awkward or kind of offset type of position for her glutes and her hips, and I wasn't a big fan of that. But I don't know, I guess that was Hasbro's choice for this particular figure. They didn't want to use a bigger mold like Storm mold or anything like that, and I guess since they use it for this one, they might as well have used it for this one. So okay, I'll take that. It's not entirely a deal breaker for me in this case. I don't know why, but for the Polaris and Mystique, it was a deal breaker for me. Somehow it kind of works, especially for this figure. The black color kind of hides that skewedness of that particular figure. So yeah, articulation for the figure, I don't think it has any mold degradation. I'll get to one particular issue in a little bit, but just to give you a rundown on everything, doesn't seem to have any mold issues. The head seems to be okay. It's a little loose, but it's tight enough so you can get it in some poses. The upper torso is obviously a brand new mold, because they've had this collar sticking out, and they've modified that particular chest mold. You've seen this before in Spider-Woman or Spider-Girl figures, but they kind of modified it to put that collar on, so I guess that's a brand new mold. Now, as you know, I've always been beset with bad luck with these quality issues with Hasbro. Somehow the universe is against me, and I always somehow get that one defect per million pieces of Hasbro. Okay, for this particular figure, the joint on the ankles, like the ankles are fine, they were okay, they can move up and down, but the pivots, like now, like this one, the rocker joints, they were frozen as heck, like that. I was beginning to worry that they might have been like the Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Black Series Obi-Wan Kenobi that had a missing joint. It wasn't frozen, it was just missing, so it was dead shut. I could not twist it. I was so afraid I was going to break it. But I did my tried and tested method of trying to unfreeze these joints. It's a pin that goes straight right there, and I just try to push, insert it, pull it out, insert it again, pull it out. Same thing with this one. Very, very forcefully try to push it in, insert it all the way in, and then gently pull it out, then insert and pull, and until I loosened it, and oh, thank goodness, I was able to snap that out without breaking that peg. And if we weren't able to do that and that peg broke, I would have completely lost it. Because if you've seen my Venom review, oh my God, I'm just really cursed with these defective products from Hasbro. So anyway, yeah, great figure overall. You can see there's more paint apps right there on the back. You can see that logo. It's a shame that we can't see it completely. Had they not put the jacket, it would have been a very perfect classic figure. But nevertheless, I still like it for some reason. This was my first experience, my first version of the Black Widow when I started reading the comic books. I didn't like her back then as much as I do like her now, but I'm just so glad Hasbro gave us this version because it's really a lot of it brings a lot of nostalgia, especially if you grew up reading the comic books in the 90s and late 80s. Now onto this figure. Very simple. You've seen this mold done before. The head sculpt is from Mary Jane, I do believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of looks like the one we got from Mary Jane, which I don't have now. The joints are still very tight, hardly any mold degradation. No paint apps to talk about really for this figure. It's a very simplistic figure. It comes with two Madame Hydra or Mystique pistols, blaster pistols, which you've already seen in previous releases. There's not much to say about this one except for, just watch out for paint apps on that belt buckle and make sure that the paint apps on the head sculpt for the eyes and the lips are spot on or squarely flush painted on. So very nice. Very impressed with both of these figures, especially this particular figure. And so some final thoughts on these figures. I think they're great. If you're a big Black Widow fan, you're going to want to get these figures. Not sure, but I think in the US, this is a Target exclusive figure. Out here in Manila, I think I've seen them on retail. You can get them you can try looking through your regular Toys R Us and Toy Kingdom stores out here in Manila, or hobby shops if you wish. Anybody wondering about this whole ensemble right here? If you remember Uncanny X-Men number 268, that cover by Jim Lee. It's trying to do it. Yeah, I know I don't have I just kind of sold off my 80 years Captain America, so worthy cap should do for now. But both figures are great. I'm gonna give both of them a 9.5 out of 10. Maybe this one's a 9 out of 10. She's gonna be a 9.5 out of 10. Really enjoyed both figures, and like I said, if you're a big Black Widow fan, you gotta get them. So there you go, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this little video review. If you did, please let me know in the comment section below what you think of these new Black Widow comic book figures, especially this classic comic book figure of Natasha Romanoff. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my latest video reviews. This has been the Marvel Legends Black Widow here in her classic costume before she joined the Avengers and after she joined the Avengers, and her more modern look in the retro carded Marvel Legends Black Widow. Thanks for watching.